Going to start with a little introduction of my executive board. My name is Mayte Santos. I currently serve as the president of the Dominican Student Association. I'm a third year majoring in criminology with a minor in sociology, and I'm from Kissimmee, Florida.
Hi everybody, my name is Nicole Santana. This year I'm serving as the Vice President for the Dominican Student Association. I am a senior majoring in psychology with a minor in law and philosophy.
Hi everyone, my name is Yumarlis De Jesus. I'm the PR chair for DSA. I'm a sophomore and I'm studying media communications.
And the rest of our e-board couldn't join us today, but Jereli is our secretary, Miguel Angel is our treasurer, and Michelle is our event coordinator. So we'll start with like a brief overview of Dominican culture. Some background is that the Dominican people and customs come from Spanish, African, and Taíno roots. The Dominican Republic of this was the first Spanish colony in America. Spanish colonizers imported African slaves to replace the native Taínos. And after the Haitian liberation of the entire island, slavery was abolished and those with mixed races spread throughout the island. A little thing about our music. Merengue is a style of music with Dominican origin. The accordion, guira, and the tambora form the typical merengue ensemble. And Yumi's gonna like continue.
Yeah, I'll continue. The European influence comes to be represented by the accordion, the African by the tambora, two-headed drum, and the Taíno or Aboriginal by the guira. And then a little bit about our cuisine. Dominican cuisine is the result of the meeting of different cultures. Dominican cuisine is easy and spontaneous. Recipes are passed from generation to generation in the kitchens of grandmothers, aunts, and mothers. That's true. Recipes are rarely written. We learn to cook our traditional dishes, but it's difficult for us to specify how much of this or what proportion of that to use.
So at this time, I will be talking a little bit about the Dominican holidays, especially with this dish that we are, that Chef Jessie is doing today, which is featured on Noche Buena. The dinner of Noche Buena takes place on December 24th, and is one of the most special family traditions of this time. It is just an excuse to gather all of the family members and closest friends like at the same table to enjoy the most exquisite dishes of the season. Some of the famous holiday dishes for Noche Buena are telera, roast pork, chicken, pigeon peas, Russian salad, empanadas, which we'll be doing today, sheet cakes, ponche, and like fruits such as apples and grapes. And at this time, I believe we're done with our little presentation and we will begin the cooking section if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. Thank you all for the wonderful presentation. And let us transition to Jessie's part. And if Maya, you don't mind to stop sharing the screen. Thank you. Seems like Jessie is ready. Hey, Jessie.
Hey, Young. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Globe Kitchen. Chef Jessie here with Laura on the camera. Welcome, everybody, especially all of my old employees. I saw a couple people joined in. It was good to see you. Today, we're going to do a deep dive into empanadas. We're going to get into a couple different doughs and a few different fillings. So kind of got a lot to get through, so let's just jump right into some ingredients. The filling we're gonna do today is shredded chicken filling. And so we're gonna have some fine diced red onion. This is just like a half an onion here. I've got Cubanelle pepper. It's a nice green pepper from the Caribbean. And I've got half of it diced up there, but you could use half or you could use the whole thing if you want. I've got it diced up pretty fine. In retrospect, I probably would have diced this red onion a little bit more fine too, but it is what it is. We'll go with it. I've got a clove of garlic smashed, half a lime, a little cilantro, some Goya tomato sauce, and then a little oregano. That's gonna go into our shredded chicken filling. And so what I got is a pound of chicken breast here, and it was boiled in water. You can add some salt to it, and for like 15 minutes. And you pull it out, you let it sit at room temperature, and you shred it up with a fork. Then I even chopped it up a little bit more, just so it's a little finer. It's not super long and stringy. So to put this together, you're gonna use a saute pan. This one's going pretty hot here. Gonna put a couple tablespoons of oil. We're gonna start with our onion. There we go. And we're gonna also add our peppers. Onions and peppers first, and we're gonna saute these up until they're nice and soft. This takes about 10 minutes on a medium heat. And I'm gonna transfer this back over to the stove here while we get into some of the doughs here. So yesterday, we did a practice round, and I tried a dough that I had found online and kind of adapted somewhat to some other recipes from a chef on YouTube, Chef Z. She's a Dominican chef. And it's kind of a chefy dough recipe. And what I mean by that is it's got some additions to it that are, you know, kind of take it away from its tradition. So the chefy one is the one that we posted on our Facebook page, and it's got an egg in it, and it also has some baking soda. So we got 2 cups flour, a teaspoon and a half of salt, half teaspoon of baking soda, a 1/4 cup of vegetable oil, and a 1/3 cup of water. And so the traditional dough, which is here, we're gonna make here, this is 2 cups of flour, a teaspoon and a half of salt, and then we've got a 1/4 cup of oil in here as well, and a 1/2 cup of water. And we might have to add another 1/2 cup in here. And so Nicole was helping me out yesterday with the practice round, and her mom was gracious enough to share this recipe. So thank you, Nicole's mom, for that. Hopefully it'll come out well. So also I went to Silver Lake for lunch today, and I was chatting with the people there, and I picked up these Goya empanada discs, which are super good too. Very simple ingredients. It's got flour, water, margarine, so it's like a blend of oils, and salt. So it's a really basic dough too. And so we're gonna do kind of a side-by-side. We're gonna try each of these doughs. We're gonna fry them all up. And we're gonna do a couple different fillings with them too, and see how each one turns out. So we're gonna set this Goya one to the side. Let's mix our doughs together. Let's start with this one. So first you wanna mix your dry ingredients and use a whisk to get them all evenly blended together. You're gonna make a little well in the bottom. And we're gonna put the egg in there, and the oil and the water. And using a fork, we're just gonna kind of blend that up before we mix it in with the flour, and then we'll slowly start mixing it. All right. Mixing, mixing, mixing with a fork here. Should come together pretty quick. This is a dough that's hard to overmix, so don't worry about overmixing. You could do this in a stand mixer too if you wanted to. All right, so we're gonna partially mix that, and we'll come back to it in a second. Now let's move on to our traditional dough here. Gonna get that salt evenly incorporated. The whisk really helps do that very quickly and evenly. You don't want salty patches in your dough. Nice even mixture, and then we're also going to pour this right into the center. Let's see how this comes together. This might need a little extra salt. Oh, sorry, not salt. Might need a little extra water. All right. It's coming together pretty quick. Whenever you're making a dough or a batter with flour, sometimes you do need to adjust the recipe, because flour can hold, even though it's dry, it can hold a certain amount of moisture. And so some flour is more dry and more moist than others. And so what we're really looking for when we're mixing this together is like a certain texture. We want the dough to be soft and pliable, We don't want it to be runny. We also don't want it to be hard. If it's too hard, it can be tough to roll out. It'll crack when you roll out. When you fold it over into your turnover, it can also crack and not stick together very well. So we're looking for a semi-soft dough. All right, so we've got it pretty mixed. I'm liking the looks of this one. I think we've got enough water in it. I'm gonna keep my forks here. So at this point, you're going to turn it out onto your work surface. I'm gonna reuse these bowls once I mix it, so I'll keep those by. All right, so side by side here. And I'm just gonna press it together. Oh yeah, I think this one's good. I'm just gonna kind of do a little kneading action. You turn it and fold it and press it. And I think this one's going to be moist enough.
Jesse, quick question
Yes.
jumping in.
Sure.
What are the 2 flours you are using right now?
So we are using just the all-purpose wheat flour. There are some other types of empanadas that use cassava flour, I believe, or yuca flour. And you know, if you have a dietary restriction, you could definitely use any of the you know, wheat-free, kind of gluten-free flours. Those would work in this too. The texture might turn out a little bit different. It's pretty firm, but I'm liking that. This is good.
Thank
I think we're
you.
right on the money on the 3rd cup. Yeah, you know, I don't know, Nicole or Mayte, do you all, is there any other flours that you would use for empanadas?
So usually for Noche Buena, my family doesn't make it with like all-purpose flour. We use the cassava flour to do those. And my grandma does it by hand every single year. So she takes
Wow,
cassava and she like grinds it up and dries it and makes the flour herself.
that's quite a process.
Indeed.
Yeah, I bet it's delicious.
It is really
Well,
good. They're more crunchier, but soft on the inside. So it's a little bit different.
Right. We will have to try that sometime. I guess you would have, do you start from fresh cassava?
Yes. So
Yeah, wow.
you gotta peel it and then let it dry and then grind it up and let it dry again. It's a process that takes about 3 days. And then it's really hard to roll out that dough, but it's very good.
Right, that sounds like quite a special meal. All right, so these both look excellent. So I can press on them. They're somewhat tender, but they're keeping their shape. The one on the right, it's a little bit softer, but you know, they're both, you know, within a good range that they're both gonna work pretty well. So, uh-oh, my flame went out behind me. All right, so we're gonna hold these to the side. Let's keep them so I remember. This is the egg one. This is the traditional one. And we're gonna keep my work surface dirty because we're gonna come back and roll this out in a minute. Let me turn my flame back up. All right, well, this didn't cook quite as much as I wanted, but we're gonna keep going with it. So next we're gonna put the garlic in. And we're gonna saute a little bit more. I kind of put the garlic in after the pepper and onion is cooked so that the garlic isn't gonna burn. It cooks a lot faster than the onion. So that's getting soft enough. We can work with that. Next, we're gonna do a squeeze of lime. Before I do that, let me wipe my hands real quick. All right. So today we've got empanadas, but we are also going to do a few different shapes. So I think for the actual full-size empanadas, we'll use the Goya dough. And then we're also gonna make empanaditas, so miniature empanadas, and then also pastelitos, which is a smaller circular pastry. So we'll try all three today. The empanaditas and the pastelitos are a big party food and for gatherings and people. So it's quick, finger foods for parties and that kind of thing. And the empanadas those are more like more of a meal, or it goes with the side with a meal. Would you have an empanada for a lunch or a dinner? Nicole or Mayte, do you guys?
Yeah, personally, like what I know, like empanadas are like big, so like I'd probably eat like one empanada. And pastelitos, they're like very small, so they are like a snack, I guess. Like you could eat like a bunch of them in one sitting.
Okay. All right, so this is going pretty good. I'm just trying to cook this somewhat gently, but I'm kind of got it up a little bit higher now just to get it moved along. We don't necessarily want to get this all browned and caramelized. I'm just kind of moving a little faster with it. So you got to stir it a lot when it's on a higher temperature. I've got a pinch of oregano we're going to add. And we're going to do squeeze of lime. I'll turn this down a little bit. There we go. Okay. We'll do a little cilantro, just a few sprigs, and some tomato sauce. We got about a half a cup or so of tomato sauce here. You can also do tomato paste and some water. Tomato sauce actually is not just tomato. They put seasonings in tomato sauce. So there's like powdered garlic and probably some powdered onion, things like that. So I got the Goya brand one. But they're all pretty similar for tomato sauces. All right, so we're gonna cook that a bit. We're actually gonna add a little bit of water to this so it all blends together. Turn it back up on high. We've got our shredded chicken ready. We're gonna add the shredded chicken to this once it boils down slightly. All right, and then for seasoning, I'm gonna do 2 teaspoons of salt. I think that's the perfect amount of salt for a pound of chicken. I didn't season the water for the chicken. So if you season the water for the chicken, you may want to add a little less salt. Okay.
All right, so I have a question for everybody that's had empanadas or pastelitos. You can like drop it in the chat. Like, what's your favorite type of pastelito or empanada?
All right, so this is reducing a little bit. It's getting a little more thick. I'll probably just put about a half a cup of water in there. Got any favorite empanadas out there? Yeah?
Yeah, here a lot of people said beef. Jumi
Beef,
said
yeah.
ham and cheese. Nicole also said ham and cheese. Someone said espinacas, which means spinach. And I never had that actually. Someone said cheese with beef, guava and cheese, guava and cheese, with meat and cheese, which I also agree. I really like the guava and cheese one too.
It's empanada. This is something you can really personalize.
Yeah, it's
Something-
definitely something you can make at your like own like preference.
Yeah. Mayte, do you have a signature empanada that you make?
I think my go-to that like my mom makes, like my aunts, is the cheese. I also like chicken. I feel like sometimes, I don't know if it's just Dominicans that do this, they'll put like raisins in their empanadas, and that really makes me like upset because I don't want a raisin in my empanada.
Right, so one of the ingredients that's optional in this one too is olives. So you can definitely add green olives to this mix. And that's kind of like picadillo, right? Does that picadillo has some raisins in it?
Yeah.
From like Cuban picadillo?
I don't know. I never actually tried that, but it sounds similar.
Yeah. You know, the sweet and savory with the raisins is definitely, it happens and it's somewhat controversial, yeah.
I saw
All
some
right.
agreement from the comment box saying, yeah, raisin, complete a flavor, Jesse.
Huh. I think I know who that was.
No. I feel like the raisin's like a nasty surprise. Like, why are you in here?
Unpleasant surprise. All right, so the chicken's gonna soak up some of that liquid, but we definitely want to cook it till it's not saucy. You know, it can definitely be a little moist. So we definitely want it to be moist. We don't want it to be dry, but we're gonna kind of turn it on the lower heat here. It's definitely on the low heat. And we're just going easy with it. We don't want any of the sauce to burn or anything. Just turning it on itself. We're gonna let it chill out for a second while we roll out our doughs. All right, let me check my fryer real quick. Fryer's looking good. Okay. So back to the table here. Yeah, so we're gonna do 3 different fillings. We've got a few different fillings to kind of highlight some of the possibilities, maybe give you all some ideas. I didn't hear anybody talk about any dessert empanadas, but I think they're somewhat rare, but we're gonna throw together dessert empanadas since I had some dulce in the fridge left over from churros right before the holiday break. So let's start with our chef-inspired dough. And so we can cut it into some smaller pieces, something easier to work with. I'm just going to cut that disc into quarters, and then I'm going to take that disc, roll it into a nice ball. You can flatten it out. I've got a little bowl of flour here, so work with on my table. Then I've also got a rolling pin. I like these flat rolling pins, but you know, any kind would work. I've used a wine bottle to roll out dough before. It works pretty well if you're in a pinch. All right, so I like to roll and then turn and flip, and roll, turn and flip, and then any caked on flour, you just brush that off. Roll, turn and flip. And we're not going to get any sticking areas here. We're looking for 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch. I was looking at those Goya wrappers to see how tight they were, and they're pretty thin. They're probably closer to 1/8 of an inch than 1/4. So I think dough thickness is kind of to taste as well. Most people like a pretty thin, crispy dough. But you know, that is to your taste. So this is looking good. We're gonna let that rest. Let's go with our second one here. This is our traditional dough, no egg, no baking powder. So what the baking powder is gonna do in this one is it's gonna make it puff up more. It's gonna be more delicate. So this dough should be a little more hearty. Should hold up better and more easily in the fryer. Yesterday when we were trying this out, this dough, my seams were opening up a little bit and I was not super happy with it, but I think today we're gonna get it right. All right, so there we go. Rolling and twisting. This one takes a little bit more force to roll out, but it is a little bit more of a firm dough. So maybe we could do a 1/2 cup of water in this and a tablespoon or 2. Although this seems pretty good. I like this one. So this is still, there's nothing wrong with this one. Okay. All right. So nice and evenly rolled out. No flour stuck on there. Both of these doughs are looking very good. Now let's pull out a Goya one. Now this is the beauty of the Goya one. You just pop it out of your package and you should be ready to go. one thing you could do if you made these from scratch is you can cut them and then layer them between parchment paper and freeze them and pull them out of the freezer as you want them. So you can make a big giant batch. Honestly, when I was looking online, that was most of them were like 9-cup flour recipes. So you could just make, you know, spend the day making these and pack them up for, you know, the next few weeks. If you're eating empanadas on a you know, regular basis, seemed like a good way to go. All right. But these Goya ones look great too, and I'm going to flour them lightly. Okay. All right. So for a traditional one, let's do our pastelitos. So this is about a 3-inch ring, and we're just going to cut. Let's see if we can cut 4 out of here. And so we'll have 1 top and then 1 bottom. So this will make 2. And then on our chef dough, I'm going to use this one. This is about 4.5 inches or so. And so, you know, you got to be resourceful in the kitchen. You got to use the tools that are around. Sometimes you won't have things that fit quite right. So you got to look around and, you know, work with what you got. It's one of our specialties in the Globe Kitchen. We make it work. All right, so we got 2 here. And these are a little bit smaller, but pretty similar size to the Goyas. Okay. They're not sticking. All right. So let's check out our chicken filling. That is looking good. All right, so I've got a little egg wash here. You can do egg wash. You can do plain water. You can just do egg white. But you're going to need something to seal the edges so that your pastry doesn't open up in the fryer. The egg wash is just 1 egg with about a 1/4 cup of water mixed in. And this is, once it heats up, it's a pretty sticky substance. So I'm going to try this one and hopefully I won't have any opening problems. I've got a little pastry brush here, but you can also do it with your fingers. So I'm just doing a light coating, and the easiest way to do this is just to coat the whole thing. You know, try not to get too much on the table because it will start sticking to the table. Okay. There we go. Oh, what's that?
We'll put it out there for everybody. If you guys do want to get the Goya, like the discos, they don't sell them. I've seen it only in like one Walmart. But if you go to Publix or Silver Lake Meat Market, they for sure have some. They have different sizes. You can get them for like, I know there's different ones. You can get these, which are for frying. There's ones specially that are to put in the oven. But if you would like air fry those, then they are also good. They are some made with achiote if you guys like that. So just putting that out there for everybody who has different tastes.
Yeah, good tips. Okay, so we got a little wash on all of those. All right, so the first ones, let's do some ham and cheese. I just got some just straight up ham from Silver Lake, and Nicole and I think it was Michelle and I were talking yesterday, and they were debating somewhat on the proper type of cheese for the ham and cheese. And Michelle was all about the mozzarella. Nicole, you were all about the cheddar, and I know I disappointed you today when I was at Silver Lake. I got a little shredded mozzarella.
I grew up eating that cheddar cheese with ham in the morning, just every morning, just go to the corner. The lady in the corner always had it ready for 50 cents, a ham and cheese empanada, and it was great.
Yeah, sounds like an awesome breakfast. So we're just gonna do a little pinch of cheese on top of this ham here and just dice up that ham. And I think what part of my issue yesterday was I was trying to fill them too much, and that can definitely get you into trouble in the fryer and they'll start opening them up. you really want to have a good amount of room to create your seal here. So you got, let's try to go this way. You got a good shot of it? All right, so I'm gonna pull that cheese off the edge, and I'm kind of gonna, it was a circular amount, but I'm gonna turn it sideways somewhat. And I'm gonna push that down there. Then I'm gonna push the air out of the center too, because once that heats up in the fryer, that air pocket, if there's a lot of air, will expand, and that will, you know, pop open your empanada in the fryer as well. So, all right, it's looking pretty good. Nice filling. You can kind of flatten it out a little bit, and it's nice and sticky. So from here, we're going to do a double seal. We're going to do a little fork seal. And we're just going to let this hang out here. Let's do this next one. So yeah, mozzarella works. Nicole, you said you really like cheddar, so some cheddar would work. The folks over at Silver Lake today, I was asking them what their opinion was on it. And they said any kind of cheese, as long as it's not too salty, because the ham is going to be very salty. So they really like a low salt melting cheese, on a white cheese in particular. They like the white cheeses. And they recommended one from Oaxaca, and I was like, well, I don't think we're going to do a Mexican cheese today, but it sounded great. Well, I guess technically mozzarella is like an Italian cheese, but really this type of mozzarella is not really Italian though either. It's kind of a variation. All right, so here are the two Goya ones. I'm going to set them to the side, and let's move on to the chicken. Okay. So we're going to do a little, about a tablespoon and a half or so of chicken. These are pretty small. We don't want to put too much in. You definitely want to have more than a half inch of seal. So if you only have like a half an inch or less of seal, it's likely it's going to pop open. So I'm thinking 3/4 inch or more. Got a little tomato sauce on my fingers there. Oops, this might be too saucy still. It's all right, I got another one over here. See if we can get it to stick together. All right. Let's see if this one comes out. There we go. I've got filling left over that we made yesterday that we can try if this one pops open. Looks like I got a little chicken stuck in there. Come back and really give it a good press. Try to get these together here. So you also want to be careful that your fork tines don't poke holes where the filling's at as well, because that will create a hole that will open up more as it fries. All right, let's try this one. Well, you know what? I'm gonna pick this one up. This filling's a little bit wet. So I'm gonna grab some filling I did yesterday. That is a little more dry. So yeah, if you do that first one and the filling kind of leaks out a little bit, you know the liquid from the filling, you know it's too wet. So you can just pop it back on the stove and cook it for another minute or so. I unfortunately don't have this luxury at this point. All right, so you see that one. Perfect. Clean my fork. And we are looking good. So, all right, so this final one is, I don't know how popular this is or if this is even made in the DR, or you know, everything's been done before somewhere, so I'm sure somebody's made this, but I'm gonna do a banana and dulce dessert empanada. I'm just gonna call it my signature one. I'm just gonna do a little disc of banana here.
Oh, I had a question.
Sure.
By dulce, do you mean dulce de leche?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That actually sounds really good. And I've never heard of it.
Yeah. And banana and caramel, can't really go wrong there. All right, so I'm just going to do a little of the banana, and then clean my knife. And we are not going to put too much in here because this is definitely going to liquefy once it heats up too. All right, and we're going to take our top piece, and it is going to go over. It's going to press out the air. Try to get that air out of there. There we go. It's a little bit tricky the first couple times you do this, but after you get a little practice in, you can really make a lot of these pretty quick, especially if you get an assembly line. I'm surprised we've never done these for in-person coffee hour. We should definitely, we're going to look at this for next fall. I keep saying that every time we do these virtual coffee hours. I'm like, we're going to make this in person, I promise you. And we're going to do it for this one too. We'll
Have you guys
10
ever
people. Sorry, go ahead.
Have you guys ever had like empanadas or pastelitos for International Coffee Hour?
No, I don't think so. I can't recall. We've done the Pastelitos de Guayaba from Cuba. That's a totally different thing. But I can't recall a time that we did empanadas.
It's really interesting because I feel like it's like a really common like dish.
Yeah. Well, to make, 300 plus of these would definitely take a little bit of effort labor-wise, but there's no reason why we can't do it. All right, so oil is looking good. I'm gonna get it a little bit more hot. It's about 350. And we want it to be at least 350, if not 375 is pretty good too. All right, we're gonna check our edges. They're looking good. Heat's on high, we're coming up. Check this out. Oh yeah, I don't know about this one. We'll see what happens. If that opens up, that'll be sad. All right. So I've talked about frying at home before. But if you do fry at home, if you have an open stove like this and you do it on your stove, be really careful. You can get an oil thermometer at Publix or at the restaurant supply store for just a few bucks. You always want to have a lid nearby in case it catches on fire. That's the best way to put it out. You definitely don't want to put water on it. But definitely the best way to fry at home is to get a countertop electric fryer where it has its own internal thermometer. So you don't really have to deal with all this and worry about it catching on fire. All right, so we're at 350. Let's put our first ones in here. Ham and cheese is in. Here's our chicken. All right, Pastelitos in. There we go. All right, so these are gonna fry up for a couple minutes. I'm a little nervous about this one because of the sauce coming out of the side. There we go. Sometimes they flip over naturally and that's the best. Sometimes they'll fight you. Oh, come on. Excellent. Excellent. Whoops. Okay. So let's put it in and see what happens. I'm whisking it. Okay, our temperature on the oil's coming up. We're a little over 360. So we want these to get light brown and crispy. Okay. Very nice.
How long would you say that like frying would usually take?
Shouldn't take too long. All our filling ingredients are cooked, and so we really want to cook the dough. Whoa. See, this one's fighting me now. So really just a few minutes is all it should take. I might have to get some tongs in here for this one. It's really fighting me. There we go. As long as you start off on a nice hot temperature, you don't put too many in at once, and keep that temperature steady. It should be pretty good. All right, looks like our scary one is okay. And so some of the more interesting variations I was looking at was pizza empanada. I was like, all right, pizza empanada.
I definitely had that before.
Yeah, I bet they're great.
It's not bad.
Are there any others that come to mind that are like kind of out there?
Can't really think of.
I saw some with shrimp, kind of fancier ones maybe.
Yeah, I never had that actually.
My mom makes mozzarella with strawberries, and I think that's a very weird combination.
Mozzarella and strawberries. Very nice.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I know someone in the chat earlier said spinach, and I feel like that. I feel like I'd be down to try that. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, spinach sounds great.
I feel like that would be good.
Yeah.
I've had beef with maduro in it. I think that's a Puerto Rican thing, but it's really good.
But I never had that.
Yeah, it's really good.
All right, so we are just about done here. My thermometer keeps wanting to fall into the oil. All right, this one's looking good too. So our ham and cheese Goya wrapped are awesome looking. There we go here, the pastelito, good. And this is looking good too, a little bit lighter colored. All right, let's cut this. I think we're good to go.
I have a quick question jumping in.
Sure.
Is air fryer could be an alternative option?
Nicole, you want to answer that one?
So I have done some in the air fryer, and like I told Jesse, my mom told me for this, but you can totally put these in the air fryer, especially ones. Just get a little pan and coat it with that, or you can get like some melted butter. I feel like that's a whole lot better. But yes, you can definitely make these in the air fryer. Just got to keep in mind that they are going to be like a little more or less greasy. They're going to be a little bit harder than the ones that you would fry.
Oh, I see. Here we go.
Yeah, you could also bake these, and they're just not going to turn out as crispy. But you can cook them a lot faster, a lot more of them faster. So I think if we did them for coffee hour, we might fry some and bake some just to get more of them cooked more quickly. And so this is the dough that we made from scratch, and both of them are looking pretty good. Yesterday this one puffed up so much, and today it didn't puff up as much, but they both look excellent. And the Goya one looks awesome. It was in there a little bit longer maybe, but even still, it looks very, texture-wise, like very puffy and looks like that's going to be really flaky and delicious. But let's cut one of these in half. Oh yeah, super crispy and flaky. Oh yeah, that looks great. Excellent dough. And let's look at ours. Okay, so here is the chicken one. Also crispy, not quite as flaky. Not flaky. Definitely looking good. Cooked all the way. And then I'm really interested in the Dulce one. Oh yeah, banana and Dulce. Oh, that looks awesome. This one, actually, this is the traditional one. And this is very flaky. So to me, the egg and the baking powder really don't make too much of a difference here. And the traditional one, to me, looks like it's the way to go. Simpler to better. That's always my motto in the kitchen. So anyways, thanks all for joining me and coming to Coffee Hour today and hanging out for our deep dive into empanadas. Hope you all can't wait to make some at home. And join us next week for our last one of the season. And hope you all have a great holiday once we're out of school here. All right. So see you later.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you.
I just want to jump out real quick because I had a question that I think I can answer. He asked if we've ever done chocolate or banana, and for any advice on your chocolate from running out, I would say use like the little chocolate droplets that come for baking if you're gonna like deep fry them. And if you're gonna do them like in the oven or in the air fryer, you could just use a little bit of Nutella mixed with some cocoa powder, and that would just help with the running out thing.
Thank you. Thank you, Nicole, and thank you, Jesse. I know Jesse been repeatedly telling us that he wants to do this because I know that he really, really wants to do this in person and feed everyone. So let's keep hope, finger crossed, and everything is gonna go back to the normal. But I still personally really enjoy the cooking demo at this moment because those are the things happening behind the scene that we've never seen before. So it's a nice exploration. And thank you all to explore this part with us all the time. Without further ado, I'm gonna transition to Mayte about introducing a little bit about the breakout room, or Nicole, that you wanna take it on, and then I'm gonna open the breakout room.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen real quick so we can go back to the presentation. So we are going to do some breakout rooms. There's going to be 3 different ones. So the first room, I'm going to facilitate it. I'm going to do a Kahoot about Dominican Republic. The second room is with Nicole, and we're going to do some food discussion. So if you want to like talk more about food, or if you have any questions, you can join that one. And then the last group is with Jumi. It's just a small group discussion. So if you want to talk about like anything, feel free to join that one.
Thank you. And also to remind everyone that we still have one more coffee hour coming up before we close up this whole year. So for next Friday, we will still holding our coffee hour. But I'm gonna open all the breakout room right now. If you can join it, just go ahead, pick the room that you wanna. If not, stay in the main room. I will manually put you in.